Okay, so we're ready to talk directly about the play Antigone by Sophocles. Sophocles was one of the ancient Greek tragedians, a playwright who wrote tragedies and comedies, but lots of tragedies. And a quick reminder about the background, the context in which these plays are being performed. So we have a new kind of community, a community that grows out of this idea of the Greek question, the idea that if nobody's going to tell us what to do, we got to figure out what to do. No more godlike kings. We're going to have to try to figure things out together. And in this same context, in which a form of democracy evolves, there's also this new art form of Greek tragedy. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the plot of the play, set it up a little bit. But I want to make a point about telling you about the plot. And that is that in Greek tragedy, there's really no such thing as a spoiler. There's no spoiler alerts because for the Greek audience at the time, the stories that the playwrights were putting into play form were stories and characters they were already familiar with. Everybody coming to that theater knows the name Antigone. Everybody knows it's not going to work out well. Everybody knows about Antigone's family drama. So the play is not really a question of what's going to happen. You're not waiting to find out what's going to happen. In many ways, the audience knows, but it's really much more of a how is it going to happen? What are people going to say? How is this Antigone going to be that maybe is different from an Antigone that some other playwright wrote about? So it's about doing versions of the same stories. And by having versions, you can make it clear what interested you as a playwright and what you wanted the audience to get out of it. So for you too, it's don't think of these plot points as having spoiled the drama of the play, but as setting you up to pay more attention to how things are happening. Okay, so what is the case at the beginning of the play? It's helpful to know just what the immediate context is because things get off to a quick start. And it's built around a set of family relationships. So we're going to go through those a little bit so you have a sense of the family dynamics. This family has had a lot of trouble, probably the most dysfunctional families in all of literature. And I'm only going to tell you the half of it, but here are the names you need to get familiar with. So there's Polynices and Eteocles or Eteocles. Doesn't matter how you say these names, it's really not a big deal. Truth is, we probably don't know very well how the ancient Greeks said these words themselves. So we're just making guesses anyway. So you have Polynices, Eteocles, Antigone, Ismene, Creon, and Haman. So those are 6 main names that we're worried about. And there's lots of different relationships at work here. This is really complicated family dynamic in the midst of this political drama. So there are siblings. Polynices and Eteocles are twin brothers, and they're also the brothers of Antigone and Ismene. So 4 siblings. There's also an uncle involved here. So Creon is the uncle of those 4 siblings. There's also a father-son relationship. Creon is Haman's father, so that's father-son. There's also king and subjects. So Creon has become king, and that means the other 5 names here are subjects of that king and are beholden to his authority, technically. There's also, in the case of the brothers, one is buried and one is not buried. So what has just happened is that a new king was needed, and Eteocles was going to be that king. One of the twin brothers was going to be the new king. Polynices objected, and he started a civil war. So there was a battle. In the battle, Polynices and Eteocles, the 2 brothers, kill each other. So they're both dead on the battlefield. So the civil war is over because Polynices isn't contesting his brother's power anymore. And that's why Creon becomes king. So he's a brand new king. Creon is the brand new king. And what he decides to do about the brothers out on the battlefield is that Polynices, being a traitor and starting a civil war and contesting the rightful authority of his brother, is to be left on the battlefield to rot. No burial. And Eteocles is going to be given a proper burial. So there are the dead in this list of people at the beginning, and there are more dead to come, but Polynices and Eteocles are dead. And one is buried and one is not buried. Eteocles is buried and Polynices is not buried. So that's the dynamics at the beginning of the play. Creon has just made a decree that Polynices will not be buried on pain of death. Anybody who defies this edict will be put to death. And Antigone, as we find out in the very opening sentences, is determined to bury her brother Polynices and defy Creon's order. So if you remember last week, we were thinking a little bit about family versus community and what kinds of allegiances we have to family and community can put us into conflict with other members of our community. So that's something that's happening here. And then there's also the question of your sympathies to these characters as the play unfolds. So as you read this opening 26 pages we've asked you to read, try to keep track of your impression of the different characters, what you think of them, what you think their character is like, whether you admire them or not. Because we're going to ask you to write about that and think about that, and it's going to contribute to your paper. So pay attention to what the characters say and how that makes you react. Where are your sympathies in this case? And where are your sympathies in that broader question of family versus community? Is Antigone right that her allegiance to her brother who is a traitor is more important than her allegiance to this community, the community that Polynices, in fact, tried to divide? So hopefully you'll see that there's some complicated questions to work through here. All right. That's it for this mini lecture. Thanks.